A 3-0 victory for Iran over Syria in a friendly match. For today's edition, we got plenty to show you, ranging from highlights, analysis, and post-game quotes. You know the deal, and you know what time it is. It's time for Team Melli Talk. Our Team Melli footballers had more than one occasion to celebrate against Syria. But did this victory show that Iran is in good shape going into the upcoming World Cup qualifiers in June? Or are there many questions that need to be answered? We'll have more on that later, but first, let's take a look at Iran's starting lineup against Syria. A 4-3-3 formation, making his debut for Iran, Jafar Salmani. As for the central midfielders, Ahmad Nourallahi, Vahid Amiri, and Ehsan Hajsafi. And the forwards up top, Mehdi Taremi, Sardar Azmoun, and Ali Golizadeh. It didn't take long for Iran to get things going as center back Hossein Kanani scored in the second minute of play. This was obviously a perfect start for Iran. Ali Golizadeh with the assist. Iran took a 1-0 lead and Hossein Kanani was in the mood to do some dancing. Then, late in the first half, Ali Reza Behravan shows why he is Iran's starting keeper when he gets this ball perfectly to Mehdi Taremi, and Sardar Azmoun pounces on the rebound to give Iran a 2-0 lead in the 38th minute. Continuing his reputation as a poacher, scores his 34th career goal for Team Melli. Iran had a 2-0 lead at halftime, and head coach Dragan Skocic had to be feeling good. Moving on to the second half. And actually, the only goal in the second half came in the 81st minute when Karima Ansarifard finished off a pass from Ali Golizadeh to give Iran a 3-0 lead. You know, I like the ball movement that resulted in this goal, but you've got to love Ansarifard putting on the brakes and giving those Syrian defenders third-degree burns in the process. Ouch. You know, Karima Ansarifard has been playing for Iran since 2009, but he continues to show that he has those great finishing skills. Now for the man of the match. This was obviously a very easy decision. We know the man of the match was goalkeeper Ali Reza Behravan. Now, let's take a look at some of his highlights as to why he was man of the match. First, his save in the 27th minute. Syria came dangerously close to equalizing after some poor defending. Now let's not forget about Azmoun's goal late in the first half. Remember, this was all made possible because of Ali Reza Behravan. You know, it was Behravan's vision that gave Iran a much-needed goal late in the first half. And this is the reason why Ali Reza Behravan is Iran's undisputed #1 keeper. The bottom line is that you have to have a keeper with good vision. And Ali Reza Behravan, you know, it seems as if he always knows where his players are at all times on the pitch. Gotta love what he brings to Team Melli. Also, let's not forget that Ali Reza Behravan nearly got an assist early in the second half with this amazing throw. I mean, if only Mehdi Taremi had succeeded in putting that ball between the legs of the Syrian keeper. But either way, it was still an amazing throw, and this is obviously one of those highlights that you're going to be wanting to watch over and over. All right, now it's time for the reality check. Now, even though Iran won 3-0, we have to take a step back and realize that this was not an impressive performance for Iran. And the Iranian media did not waste any time in questioning Dragan Skocic during the post-game press conference. And with this, definitely got a quote to share with you. Let's take a look. What did Dragan Skocic have to say? Quote, "I chose players that I think are better than others." End quote. Now, this is alarming considering the problems that took place during this game. Now, what were the three main problems? Well, lack of creativity for one, giveaways, and too many long balls. Now, when these kinds of problems happen, it clearly means that there was not any trust in the central midfielders, and this is not what Team Melli needs. And of course, an important question that we have to continue to ask, and that was, where was Saeed Ezzatullahi? He's clearly Iran's best defensive midfielder, and he was not one of those players mentioned in the press conference that had to deal with travel restrictions. Now, going back to the press conference, this time, Team Melli captain Ehsan Hajsafi had something interesting to say. Have a look. Quote, "It is true we have weaknesses, but we will remove those weaknesses," end quote. Now, I personally hope that Ehsan Hajsafi was talking about himself. And I also hope he was talking about effort and playing defense. Because when you take a look at this clip, you can clearly see that he was not showing much effort or playing any defense in this situation. And it was this move that eventually led to a goal-scoring opportunity for Syria. But as we remember, Ali Reza Beirovan came up with a clutch save. The bottom line is that Ehsan Hajsafi should not be captain of Team Melli, and he should not be playing as a midfielder. He is a left back. So I'm okay with him being a backup, or being a reserve left back. And this makes a lot of sense considering that there is not a lot of depth at the left back position for Team Melli. Hajsafi wasn't the only one who had a bad game. There was plenty of other players that did not play to expectations. One of those players, surprisingly, Sardar Azmoun. Yes, he did score a goal, but throughout the game, he just was not looking like himself. He was not holding the ball up well. He was not connecting on passes. He was out of sync. And like I said, bottom line, he just did not look like the Sardar Azmoun that we have seen on so many other occasions. And what about Jafar Salmani? I was not a fan of him playing at right back. He's much more useful as a left back or as a left winger. But aside from that, he did show some of those jitters in making his debut for Team Melli, and he also had a few giveaways as well. Overall, it was also not a good day for Iran's wingbacks. And one of those players I also have to mention next is Milad Mohammadi. And in fact, it was his blunder that, basically should have resulted in a goal for Syria right before the hour mark. But thankfully, this ball bounced off the crossbar and did not hit the back of the net. Next, it's time for the positives. Mehdi Atarmi continues to be on top form. Really love what he brings to the pitch every game when he plays for Team Melli. And let's not forget about Ali Golizadeh. 2 assists on the day. We really need to see him healthy and ready to take care of business when World Cup qualifying resumes. Alright, now it's time for my final thoughts. Normally I like to be upbeat and I get annoyed when I hear a lot of the negative energy from Iranian football fans. But this time, I can't say that everything is fine. And reason being is because there are big problems for Iran in central midfield, and those problems need to be addressed, or else it'll be really difficult to defeat Bahrain and Iraq when World Cup qualifying resumes in June. The bottom line is that the pressure is mounting on Dragan Skocic, and he needs to show Team Melli fans that he's serious about taking Iran to the World Cup, and the only way he will convince us is by calling up the best players when World Cup qualifying resumes. What about you? What is your opinion of Iran's performance against Syria? Leave a comment down below. Well, that's it for this edition of Team Melli Talk. As always, really do appreciate the support. Make sure you get to our website, www.teammellitalk.com. Remember, this is your best source for the latest news on Team Melli, the national team of Iran. You know where to find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know the handle, @Team Melli Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification button. See you on the next edition of Team Melli Talk.